Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be tackling a topic that's both incredibly exciting and honestly a little bit daunting, the
Mhm.
future of AI. But we're not just talking about cool gadgets or futuristic robots. We're going deep into the potential impact of AI on society, especially the challenges and opportunities it presents.
What's so fascinating about this conversation is that AI isn't some distant science fiction concept anymore. It's already woven into the fabric of our lives,
Yeah.
often in ways we don't even realize.
Exactly. And to guide us through this complex landscape, we're turning to a recent interview with Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google. And get this, he's teamed up with Henry Kissinger to write a new book called Genesis. It's packed with insights about the rise of AI and what it means for humanity.
And this deep dive is especially timely because of the support from our sponsor, BAM Business Automation Management. A huge thank you to William, BAM's founder, for making this conversation possible. They're doing incredible work helping people, especially in the Black community, navigate the changing job market as AI starts to disrupt various industries. So if you're feeling anxious about the future of work, know that BAM is here to help you adapt and thrive.
Okay, so let's dive into some of the key takeaways from Schmidt's interview. He starts off by hitting us with this mind-blowing comparison. Think about the phone in your pocket right now. It's 100 million times faster than the computer Schmidt used in college, which, by the way, served the entire university.
It's almost impossible to wrap your head around that kind of exponential growth. It really highlights the incredible pace of technological advancement we've seen in recent decades, largely driven by something called Moore's Law.
Moore's Law. Refresh my memory on that one.
Sure thing. Basically, it's this observation that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles about every 2 years. This means that computing power increases exponentially, while costs decrease. And this has been the driving force behind the digital revolution, leading to smaller, faster, and more powerful devices.
So that explains how we went from these massive room-sized computers to having supercomputers in our pocket.
Yeah.
But how does this all tie back to AI?
Well, AI requires immense processing power to analyze vast amounts of data and learn from it. Moore's Law has made it possible to develop and deploy increasingly sophisticated AI algorithms, leading to the rapid advancements we see today. And it's not just about the raw processing power. The availability of massive data sets, thanks to the internet and connected devices, has also fueled the AI boom.
That makes sense. So we've got this perfect storm of exponential computing power and access to tons of data, which has led to the rise of AI. But what does this actually mean for us, for society as a whole?
That's the big question. And Schmidt doesn't sugarcoat the stakes. He says that the advent of artificial intelligence is a question of human survival.
That's a pretty stark statement. Definitely not your typical tech optimism.
Yeah,
It sounds like he's genuinely concerned about the potential risks of AI.
he is, and for good reason. But he's also excited about the potential benefits. He believes AI has the power to double everyone's productivity, which could lead to incredible advancements in various fields. Imagine the potential impact on healthcare, education, or even solving complex global challenges like climate change.
Okay, so there's this potential for incredible good, but also this looming threat. It feels like we're standing at a crossroads.
Exactly, and this is where the work of BAM becomes so crucial. As AI starts to disrupt industries and potentially displace workers, it's essential to have organizations like BAM that are dedicated to helping people adapt, retrain, and thrive in this new landscape.
Especially for communities that have historically been marginalized, like Black Americans. They could be disproportionately affected by job displacement due to AI. Having access to the right resources and support will be key to ensuring they can benefit from the opportunities AI creates.
Absolutely, and that's what makes BAM's mission so impactful. They're not just providing training and education, they're building a community of support and empowerment.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about how Schmidt sees AI impacting the business world. He offers some interesting advice to entrepreneurs, and it's not what you might expect. He says, don't focus on the competition. Focus on building products that don't even exist yet.
It's a counterintuitive approach, but it makes sense when you think about the transformative power of AI. In a world where technology is rapidly evolving, the most successful companies will be those that can anticipate and meet future needs, not just react to existing ones.
So it's about being ahead of the curve, identifying those problems that people haven't even articulated yet. But how do you actually do that? It feels like a bit of a paradox.
It is, and Schmidt doesn't provide a simple formula, but he does emphasize the importance of understanding the underlying trends driving technological advancement and being willing to take risks, to experiment, and to fail fast.
That resonates with the whole move fast and break things mentality that we often see in the tech world, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just about speed. It's about having a clear vision and a willingness to challenge conventional thinking.
Precisely. And Schmidt knows a thing or two about building successful companies. He shares this fascinating anecdote about the early days of Google, when their entire operation was essentially running out of a dorm room. Can you imagine the Googleplex sign hanging above a handful of employees?
Talk about humble beginnings. It's a reminder that even the biggest tech giants started small, with a core team of passionate individuals driven by a bold vision. But what was it about those early Google founders that made them so successful?
Schmidt highlights the importance of having a brilliant technical founder, someone he refers to as a diva. This is the person with the deep technical expertise and the ability to translate that into groundbreaking products.
So it's not just about having a great idea. It's about having the technical chops to actually build it. But what about the rest of the team? What kind of people did Google look for in those early days?
Schmidt says that they prioritized intelligence and quickness over experience. They wanted people who could learn fast, adapt to new challenges, and think on their feet. In a startup environment, especially in the fast-paced world of AI, those qualities are invaluable.
That's interesting because it challenges the traditional emphasis on years of experience on a resume. It suggests that in the age of AI, adaptability and a willingness to learn are becoming even more crucial than specific technical skills.
Exactly. And this brings us back to BAM and the services they offer. As AI changes the nature of work, it's going to be critical for people to develop those transferable skills, to be lifelong learners who can constantly adapt and reskill. BAM is providing those opportunities, particularly for Black Americans who might not have had equal access to traditional education or training pathways.
So it's not just about learning how to code or operate specific AI tools. It's about developing that growth mindset and those critical thinking skills that will allow you to thrive in any field, regardless of how technology evolves.
That's a great way to put it. It's about empowering people to become the architects of their own futures in a world that's constantly changing. We were just talking about how Google prioritized intelligence and quickness when hiring in their early days. It's interesting to think about how that approach might translate to other businesses, particularly those facing disruption from AI.
You know, that reminds me of something else Schmidt mentioned, this idea of the 70-20-10 rule for resource allocation. It's a framework he used at Google to encourage innovation. And I think it has some interesting implications for businesses trying to navigate the AI landscape.
Can you break that down a bit? What exactly does the 70-20-10 rule entail?
Sure. So, as Schmidt explains it, you allocate 70% of your resources to your core business, the things that are currently generating revenue and keeping the lights on. Then you dedicate 20% to exploring adjacent opportunities, things that are related to your core business but might offer new avenues for growth.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the remaining 10%?
That's where it gets really interesting. That 10% is reserved for truly out there moonshot ideas, things that might seem crazy or risky, but have the potential to be truly game-changing.
So it's about carving out space for radical innovation, even if it doesn't immediately tie back to the bottom line. I can see how that approach could be beneficial in a rapidly evolving field like AI, where the next big breakthrough could come from an unexpected direction.
Exactly. And Schmidt argues that this approach is essential for staying ahead of the curve. He uses the example of YouTube and how they were able to disrupt Google's own video platform, even though Google had a massive head start.
That's a great example of how a nimble startup focused on a specific problem can outmaneuver a larger, more established company. It shows that in the age of AI, agility and a willingness to embrace new ideas can be more important than size or resources.
And it highlights the potential pitfalls of becoming too comfortable, too bureaucratic. Schmidt compares Google's approach, which was to try and do everything, with Intel's strategic blunder of selling off the ARM chip, which ended up becoming the heart of mobile devices.
That's a cautionary tale about the importance of accurately predicting future trends and avoiding short-sighted decisions, especially in the fast-paced world of technology.
Speaking of predicting the future, Schmidt makes some pretty bold predictions about the pace of AI development. He compares it to previous technological revolutions, like the PC or the internet, but on a much larger scale.
He argues that we're on the cusp of an even more profound transformation, one that will fundamentally reshape society as we know it. He even goes so far as to say that within the next few years, we'll each have our own AI assistant.
An AI assistant.
Yeah.
Like a personal Siri or Alexa on steroids.
Exactly. He envisions these AI assistants as being incredibly intelligent, capable of helping us with everything, from managing our schedules and filtering information to providing personalized education, and even offering creative inspiration.
Wow. That sounds both amazing and a little bit intimidating.
Imagine.
Having access to that kind of knowledge and processing power at your fingertips.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? But it also raises some important questions. For example, how will this impact the way we work? Will there even be jobs left for humans if AI becomes this advanced?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's one that many people are grappling with right now. It's understandable to feel anxious about the potential for AI to displace workers, especially in industries that are heavily reliant on repetitive tasks or data analysis.
Schmidt acknowledges these concerns, but he believes that while some jobs will inevitably be displaced, many more will be created. He argues that we're actually facing a demographic problem, with an aging population and not enough young people to fill the workforce. AI can help bridge that gap by boosting productivity and taking over tasks that are dangerous, repetitive, or simply not well suited for humans.
So it's not about eliminating jobs entirely. It's about shifting the focus of human labor to tasks that require creativity, critical thinking, and complex problem solving. Those are the areas where humans will continue to have a distinct advantage over machines.
That's a key point. It's not about humans versus machines. It's about humans and machines working together to achieve more than either could alone.
I like that perspective. It's about leveraging the strengths of both to create a more efficient and innovative workforce. But it also means that people need to be prepared for this shift. They need to have the skills and knowledge to thrive in a world where AI is increasingly prevalent.
And that's where organizations like BAM play a vital role. They're providing access to training and education that will be essential for navigating this new landscape. And they're specifically focused on supporting Black Americans, who have historically faced barriers to education and employment opportunities.
It's about empowering individuals to take control of their own futures and ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to benefit from the advancements AI brings.
Exactly. It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable future, one where AI is used to uplift and empower, not to divide and disenfranchise.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential for AI to both create and displace jobs. But Schmidt also dives into some even more unsettling aspects of AI, particularly the concept of raw models.
Ah, yes, raw models. This is where we start to venture into territory that can feel a bit like a science fiction thriller.
Definitely. Can you explain to our listeners what these raw models are and why Schmidt is so concerned about them?
Sure. Raw models are essentially the unfiltered output of AI training. They've absorbed vast amounts of data, but they haven't yet been refined or constrained by human values or ethical considerations.
So it's like having this incredibly powerful engine,
Yeah.
but without a steering wheel or brake.
That's a great analogy. Schmidt says that one of the biggest dangers is that these raw models could be used for malicious purposes, like designing cyber attacks or even creating deadly viruses.
That's a chilling thought. It's like opening Pandora's box and not knowing what might come out.
And the scariest part is that these raw models are constantly learning and evolving. They can adapt and change in ways that we might not even fully comprehend.
It's both fascinating and terrifying, right? To think about the implications of these raw models. On the one hand, they have this potential to unlock incredible breakthroughs in various fields. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, they can be incredibly dangerous if they fall into the wrong hands.
And it's not just about those malicious actors out there. Schmidt also worries about, AI systems making decisions that seem logical, at least from a purely computational standpoint, but that have unintended consequences for us humans.
Can you give an example of what you mean?
Sure. He uses this analogy of a self-driving car, one that's optimized for overall efficiency, but that might not actually prioritize a human passenger's urgent need, like, say, rushing someone to the hospital. It's a chilling illustration of how AI could make decisions that conflict with our human values.
That's a great point. It really highlights that potential disconnect between what AI deems efficient or logical and what we as humans consider ethical or compassionate.
Exactly. And as AI systems just become more and more complex and more integrated into our lives, these ethical considerations are only going to become more important. We need to ensure that AI is developed and deployed in a way that aligns with our values, and that it ultimately serves humanity as a whole.
So where do we go from here? What can we as individuals do to prepare for this AI-driven future? Well, Schmidt offers some surprisingly simple yet profound advice. He says the most important thing is to say yes to opportunities, to bet on yourself, and to never stop learning.
It's about embracing that mindset, right, of adaptability and continuous growth. The skills you learn today might be obsolete tomorrow, so it's essential to cultivate that love of learning, that curiosity that allows you to constantly evolve.
And that's where BAM comes full circle, right? They're all about empowering individuals to thrive in this AI revolution, providing the training, education, and support you need to navigate this new landscape.
Absolutely. BAM recognizes that Black Americans in particular might face unique challenges in adapting to the changes brought about by AI, given those historical inequities in access to education and employment. Their mission is to bridge those gaps and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to benefit from those advancements AI brings.
I'm curious, what are some of the specific ways BAM is supporting people as they navigate these changes?
Well, they offer a range of programs. From technical skills training to business development support, they help people identify their transferable skills, connect them with potential employers, and provide ongoing mentorship and guidance.
It sounds like they're taking a holistic approach, not just focusing on technical skills, but also addressing the broader needs of individuals and communities.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that navigating the AI revolution isn't just about, say, learning how to code or operate a specific software program. It's about developing the critical thinking skills, the adaptability, and the entrepreneurial mindset that will allow you to thrive in any field, regardless of how technology evolves.
That's a really empowering message. It's about taking ownership of your future.
Yeah.
And not being intimidated by the changes that AI is bringing.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI. It's not just about the engineers or the tech companies. It's about everyone having a voice in how this technology is developed and used.
This has been a truly thought-provoking deep dive, and we want to thank Eric Schmidt for sharing his insights and for pushing us to think critically about the future of AI.
And of course, a huge thank you to William and BAM for sponsoring this conversation and for providing real-world solutions to help people, particularly in the Black community, navigate the AI revolution.
If you're feeling inspired to learn more about AI and how you can prepare for the future, we encourage you to visit BAM's website. They have a wealth of resources and information available, and their team is dedicated to supporting you on your journey.
We'll leave you with one final provocative thought. What would you ask Eric Schmidt if you had the chance? This AI revolution is just beginning, and it's up to all of us to shape the direction it takes.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.